Eight Found Dead is a home invasion horror movie for the Air BnB generation. And we all know that we've had some of those fears when we show up to our property rentals. When two couples arrive at a secluded rental property for a weekend getaway, they are met by two strangers who claim to also have rented the property. Awkward. What starts out as a simple misunderstanding, though, ends in an all-night bloodbath. It's less of a whodunit and more of a who the hell survives. Hello, my name is Jim Fry. I'm the editor of The Scare Guy. This is The Scare Guy Show. And I'm also the editor of theconguy.com, and I'm one of your hosts today. With me tonight, my partner in crime and other horror host, Cheeseman.
What's up, everybody? Cheeseman here, screenwriter, one of the founding people of thescareguy.com.
That's right. And tonight, this week, we are excited to talk about the director, the writer, and one of the principal actors of this film, Eight Found Dead, which won the Best Film and Best Director. Congratulations, guys, at the 2022 Los Angeles Screamfest, which is a long-running film festival here in the Los Angeles, Hollywood area that finds the new and upcoming horror hits. It's where Paranormal Activity was discovered. And these guys are hoping that this is going to be the next hit out of the gate. We have Travis Greene. He's the director, producer, cinematographer, editor, and sound designer, man of all trades. The content of his films skew towards absurd and subversive, and he feeds his predilection for unorthodox storytelling and offbeat characters through the power of cinema to exemplify and elevate the human experience. But of course, he also edits and produces reality television, which contradicts everything previously mentioned. Jonathan Buchanan, a writer most of his life, poetry, short stories, novels, and even stand-up comedy, which that kind of makes me all kind of excited. He's mostly known as a songwriter, and he's written and recorded dozens of songs about quirky characters with a propensity for murder. So that fits right into what we're going to talk about tonight. This is his first screenplay to be produced into a film. And of course, our buddy and our friend, Patrick Joseph Rieger, who was born and reared in the land of snow and purple rain, Minneapolis, Minnesota. He has lived in Los Angeles, working as an actor, musician, and a writer for 15 years. Rieger is a lifetime member of the Actors Studio. He just had a great play reading this last week, and he is a band leader of Whiskey Sunday, LA's hardest working Americana Irish folk band. Welcome, everybody, to the Scare Guys Show to talk about Eight Found Dead.
Let's give Jim applause for that intro. Wow.
That was so much. I'm out of breath.
It was my bio.
Jim's definitely Batman.
And just so you know, the Scare Guys Show, we kind of pride ourselves in what we're doing tonight, which was we love talking with filmmakers about their films. Luke and I are both screenwriters and filmmakers, so this is an honor for us. I know that we do know Patrick. We know that Patrick's been an actor for some time, and we've seen some of his stuff. We saw Patrick steal a baby on Days of Our Lives. I thought that was great. But this, I got to tell you though, Patrick, I really enjoyed you in Eight Found Dead. You really got to show some acting chops this time, my friend.
Thank you. I love playing cops. It's fun.
You did a great job. That was good. You did a great job as a cop.
I keep getting cops, whether they're witty cops or fumbling, stumbling, idiot cops. It's great.
You're a very handsome cop, Patty.
I don't know why I'm playing a lot of cops in the last few years, but I'm jumping right into it. I'm leaning into it.
You filled out the uniform. Nice.
Yeah.
This guy we're looking at some photos of him from the film right now. It looks like, are you driving and drinking? I just don't know what's.
Yeah.
He's living up to all cops.
That's a theme.
He was method acting.
We're gonna blame that one on Travis and Jonathan though. So first of all, guys, we got to talk about you guys winning Best Picture and Best Director at Screamfest recently. Congratulations! Tell us about that. Tell us what that felt like, and did you guys think that you had a chance?
1,000%. We knew it was in the bag. I mean, I spoke to my spiritual advisor the morning it happened, and it all lined up. It was part of the plan. Going back real quick, Jim, thank you guys first for having us, and Cheeseman and Patty for, lending your talents and setting up this connection with these fellas. It's a great platform. I'm a fan of the pod, a long-time listener.
Oh, the pleasure is all ours, my friend. We are excited.
But going back to the win, No, we didn't expect it because we didn't invite friends, family, cast, or crew to join us at the awards ceremony. And I planned to get tanked and just hobnob with producers like, buy our film, you know? And so when they announced our name, I was like, oh crap, am I drinking too much? Are they kicking me out? And it was actually, no, they're calling you on stage, idiot. You just won Best Director.
Wow.
Then I heard a mad kind of rabid scream coming from the back. And that was this burly, long-haired, bedraggled, white-haired man that looks like Moses and someone from Leonard Skinner. And it was my writer, Jonathan Buchanan. And he's always the guy that keeps me centered and focused. And like, I go to crazy man when I'm creating, I go crazy man. And he's my center, my rock. And he absolutely lost his shit. And I've never been kissed by a man more in my life, accepting that award. And as he's
Well,
like,
you don't know
giving
Patrick
me-
as well as we do.
Yeah,
Well,
that sounds like Patrick.
well, I've been kissed by Patrick as well. And as I'm getting full tongue from Jonathan that I got my first award as a director, I've never been told I was special. Thanks, Mom and Dad. And, you know, Jonathan's hugging me. And as he's like hooting and hollering, I hear our names called again. And we're like, are we getting kicked out now for too much PDA? And we're not. We go up on stage. We're like, what are you guys calling us up for? Like, are you taking it back? Was there a mistake in the spelling for the director? They're like, no, idiots. You won Best Film. And we're like, of the festival? What? Okay. So I quickly had to sober up, you know, thank the Academy, thank my agent. I don't have an agent. Thank my friends, family, and God, most importantly. And then turned it over to John. He said some nice, sweet things. And then the text messages started blowing up. And I just couldn't believe it because literally we did not expect this. We didn't make this film to win awards. We made this film to forget that we were going through a pandemic and to make and create art with our friends and to kind of escape. And yeah, it was super surreal.
Yeah. Well, like Luke and I were just at a film festival this weekend, the LA Shorts Film Festival. And it was kind of cool. Like the way you show up and the filmmaking community, people think it's like this massive thousands and thousands, and it is, but it is kind of small in a way where you guys, I mean, just the experience of being at the film festival and meeting people. And I mean, what was that like?
You want to take that one there, Johnny?
Oh, sure. It was great. It was really, it was fun to have an excuse to kind of hang out for a week. You know, I didn't have a job at the time, so I just drive down to the theater and, you know, get there for 2 for 1 and just watch a movie, meet some people in the lobby, made a couple friends. It was great. It was really fun. They took care of us and treated us really nice.
And I really have to shout out Rachel and Karen at Screamfest for, you know, their perseverance and their, you know, service to the horror community and putting on such a fantastic festival that really champions and celebrates independent horror and is responsible for breaking a lot of indie horror into mainstream cinema and consciousness. The community is a beautiful community. That's what I said in my acceptance speech is, you know, for a genre that has such depraved, horrific, gory content, really beautiful people and nice, warm and friendly people are the creators and are behind the content that's made. So it was just, I was overwhelmed with gratitude.
That's awesome. And I'm going to throw it over to Luke in just a second. But first, can we say hello to a couple of folks who are watching? Jonathan Wilkinson, hello, our friend watching from Colorado. And then our friend Lily Sculler. Lily, this is kind of funny. Like, Lily is just such a gentle soul. She and I have bonded over our love of Charlie Brown and the Peanuts characters. And so when we do podcasts about horror movies, I'm like, oh, I'm surprised Lily tunes in and she goes, I love horror movies. So now that's kind of cool. But of course, there's nothing more horrible than the poor life of Charlie Brown. That poor guy. Someone's going to make a grown-up version of Charlie Brown and it's going to be a horror movie. Anyways, so I'm going to ask one more question. Then Cheeseman, I am going to throw it to you. But I do want to know about you mentioned being stuck in the pandemic, being stuck in from what I was reading, stuck in a coffee shop, spitballing ideas. Where did the idea of a horror movie based basically in either Verbo or Air BnB come from?
I had in December of 2019, I had made a short film with a buddy, one of the actors in the film, Eddie Acosta. And one of the actresses in the film, Ali Trasher, was my producer on that film. And I had rented an Airbnb for our cast and crew while we were filming up in Landers, California. Very magical place. The Integratron is up there. So any fans of sound healing or just hippies and LSD know that spot. And the desert calls me. I just feel in tune with creation out there, because it's where people go to hide, people go to experience, mystical kind of metaphysical experiences and feelings. They also run away from their problems. As I was, partying with my cast and crew after filming that short, Eddie had mentioned, this is a pretty sweet Airbnb you got, but what about the one that's right next door that looked like, the Sawyer family from Texas Chainsaw Massacre might have lived? And he's like, what if you rented that one and you showed up with the cast and crew and there was already people there? And I said, that's pretty good. And then as I'm editing that film, I kind of table it because the pandemic hits and I'm like, I'm not going to drop this film. But, what's my next project? Well, to write it is free, right? And Jonathan is the best writer that I know. And we would always meet once a week at Priscilla's coffee shop in Toluca Lake. Got to shout them out. And they weren't allowing folks to, congregate indoors. So you had to, I'm a smoker. I would just, it was fine for me because I could hang out with my coffee and have a smoke. And John and I were just, all the seats that they set outside were, I don't even know if they had chairs and tables, because it was still early, like April 2020, when people were super sketched out about what was going on. And so John and I just kind of sought refuge in the parking lot adjacent to Priscilla's, and we're just kind of hanging around like a couple of 16-year-old degenerates in high school around a trash can, just kind of kicking ideas around. And John's like, you got how much money? I sold my house to make this film, because my wife thought it was a wise idea to sell her house in the middle of the pandemic. And it was, because it allowed me to, fund this film. And John's like, I can write a movie for that. I can write a self-contained, horror movie that's claustrophobic, that, what we don't have in financial production value, I can make it more of a character, relationship based story. And to me, that's more compelling, because it's, reality scares me, and awkward conversations with folks where you're like, I gotta go, but you're too hung up on, I don't want to offend them. I don't want to, and I thought, like, he came up with that idea based off of, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? And do you want to take it from there, Johnny?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I just kind of knew we wanted to do a single location. And one of my favorite movies is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which is just, to me, it's a horror movie, but it's really just two couples spending the late evening together, and one couple just mentally assaults the other and each other to a large extent as well. And it's just one of the creepiest, freakiest movies I've ever seen. And I just thought, I don't know, that's just kind of where it started.
Cool. Excuse me.
Now, kind of with all this, there were some actual things from your life, Travis, that were included in the film. Is there anything about that you can share with us?
Oh yeah, and my friend from Minnesota is a big part of that right there. My actor.
I mean, you got a trilogy with this guy,
dude. So
this guy's story.
Jonathan says, well, where are we going to shoot this? And I go, I've got a ranch. Well, no, I didn't have a ranch. I said, let's find an Airbnb. So I start, cruising the web, and I find this beautiful A-framed chalet in the Big Bear area. Let's just say Lake Gregory, beautiful Crestline, California, Lake Gregory.
Nice.
I was looking for Big Bear, but I found you in Crestline, and I reach out to this fella who says, yeah, come on up, take a look at my cabin, scout it. Sure. I meet him. He offers me a beer. We sit. We don't stop talking for about 4 hours. It felt like I knew this guy from the jump. Find out he's into the arts. He's an actor. He's a writer. He shared with me a stage play that he had written. And I said, well, the film that I'm doing is really, it speaks to the actor's struggle. It speaks to the creative it's meta. It's a lot of folks, a lot of dejected folks in LA would relate to it. And I said, Patrick, if you let me rent this place, man, I'm casting you in a role. And
so he was talking about Patrick Joseph Rieger, and for those a little bit slow in the uptake, like I was. all right.
Sorry, I'm not. I swear the film is coherent. I might not be right now because I'm coming to you live from a Panda Express parking lot. But
why'd you order a Panda?
Oh, come on. Orange chicken, Kung Pao, what'd you get?
So the unfortunately, like, the timing didn't work out with us, renting Patrick's space, but just in getting to know him, I knew he's got the goods. And I kept him in mind and kept pitching him to John about, we got to use this guy. He's got a great male leading kind of vulnerability, he's got bravado, but he's got a vulnerability and a sensitivity to him that I really, like that. Like, look at that. He's brooding and pensive. And he's deep in thought. He's probably a poet, but he's not afraid to pull his gun if you get out of line.
I just knew about how hungry I was.
So we flipped the script, and I said, I've always had good luck in the desert. And once we sold my house, I had nowhere to go, and I escaped to the desert. I tried to isolate from isolating in Los Angeles, and I found a quarter-acre ranch in 29 Palms, Wonder Valley, California. Wonder Valley attracted me because of the name. It sounded beautiful, but it is desolate and bleak. No hate, no shame on 29 Palms. It's not Joshua Tree. So if you're a young up-and-coming influencer, stick to Joshua Tree. Don't go to 29 Palms. That's secret for all the real artists. Live in 29 Palms. There's great installations out there. It's what Joshua Tree was maybe 20 years ago. And so I knew the place like the back of my hand. I had a weird experience at the place. I was, isolating from Los Angeles in my life. And the minute I pulled into this ranch, I poured myself a glass of bourbon, rolled a joint, put on the record player, went outside to kind of take in my surroundings. And about 15 minutes into me getting drunk and high, I didn't realize that I had put the record player on. And I'm like, holy shit, there's a record going on inside the house. Who the fuck did that? Oh, fuck. And I scared the shit out of me. And I was like, oh, you're just drunk. You put it on 20 minutes ago and you're lost in the loop. And so I called Patty up and I said, we're changing it. John said, we're changing it from, the evergreens and forests, and we're going brown, desolate, cyan, and orange. The desert, and the desert it was a great 10th character or 11th character, however many folks are in the piece.
All right. Well, you talk about meeting Patrick. Patrick, we got to know, Mr. Patrick Joseph Rieger, what is it about Travis in this project that drew you in? And what is it about how'd you connect with Travis? If you guys sat there and talked for 4 hours, what was the connection? And what was it about this project?
If you don't mind me saying, for filmmakers out there, young and indie filmmakers, if you don't mind me reminding you, Travis, it was ShareGrid, which is a great website. ShareGrid is a great website for great filmmakers on a budget. And I had my house, my mother's house, listed, a beautiful A-frame in Crestline. He reached out. He came up. We did talk for 4 hours. And I got to say, he made the right call changing it to the desert, because that desolation, that dry, sort of empty backdrop really is an actor's best friend, man. And then the second part to that was Jonathan and Travis. I never told you this before, but whenever I hear that a story and a script is as malleable as yours was, I go, well, they must not know what they want, or this is reality, or they're trying to go for an improvisational tone. When I arrived on set in 29 Palms, which I agree was the perfect place, the malleable nature to your story, your script, let's make this work, let's tell the truth. It was the most refreshing thing as an actor, guys, to be up there in that location in 29 Palms, where everyone had to kind of drive kind of far off the beaten path and kind of feel the story and then get there. And I would go up to Jonathan. I go, am I doing this right? He goes, what is the most truthful for you? Let's just make that work. It never seemed indecisive on Jonathan and Travis's part. It seemed like the greatest definition of organic storytelling, and I couldn't be more grateful.
I would be remiss, Jim and Cheeseman, to not mention our tripod, our partner in crime, Ryan Valdez, who was the director of photography on this and a producer, who we had the luxury, because we were in the pandemic, we were able to rehearse with the actors, not all at once, but we would do it in blocks. And Ryan would show up to these rehearsals and shoot them. And having him there as a friend, a producer, and an amazing cinematographer, probably the sharpest, most stylistic guy I've ever had the privilege of knowing, was just such a godsend and such a valuable asset that, like, it speaks volumes to how great this film is. I was supposed to this was an expedited schedule because it's a micro budget indie horror film. So I was lofty in my goals and ideals and thinking how fast we could shoot it, because the short film that I had done prior to this, I had shoot through 10 pages in 6 hours with a jib, and with being outside and being with our actor Eddie, he and I had rehearsed for about 4 months to do this 10-page monologue that was supposed to be a oneer.
Wow.
I had to make quick adjustments on the fly, because shooting in the desert outside in December, you fail to forget that there's 30-mile-an-hour wind up there that will throw you off course. I thought, oh, well, we can still chew through that page count for the feature because we'll be inside in a contained, environment. The jib, day one, did not fit in the house. So 5 months of preparation that I did with a shot list, with telling Ryan, I'm not going to break your back, dude. You're just going to have to line up shots, make sure it looks pretty, let the jib arm do all the work, and the actors will feel free and they can move around, because we wanted to make this feel like it was a fully immersive stage play, a retelling of, inspired by Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, in the fact that it felt like you were a fly on the wall of a voyeuristic kind of POV.
Yeah, it feels
for the
like
audience.
that.
Mhm.
Does it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the jib didn't fit. And I had to quickly punt on that and tell Ryan, well, you're going handheld. And thank God, like, I literally called my therapist the day before saying, everything's fucked. We're toast. I spending all this money and the jib don't work. And he goes, settle down, idiot. First of all, didn't you tell me you're with the greatest cinematographer that you know? And didn't you tell me that he's been with you upon every rehearsal? And didn't your DP also say, I know this story as well as you do, let me be the fifth man in the ring, or because we would normally do, the two couples at a time. So there was 4 people, but Ryan was the 5th member on stage, and he was just able to work with them and go with them and pick up where they left off. And there was just a nice synergy, and I'm just humbled by how beautiful that man is.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're bragging about Ryan a little bit. Ryan Valdez, your DP. For those who don't know, the DP, the director of photography, he's the guy who was in charge of the camera and getting everything on film. At age 18, he did a film that was picked up by Lionsgate. Congratulations, Ryan! And he's directed music videos for bands such as Korn, Corey Taylor, and Rise Against. And he lives here in Los Angeles, doing a lot of work. This guy is very talented. You guys, the film looks beautiful.
Yeah. Now with that, especially towards the beginning, there's a lot of movement kind of with the cameras. There's kind of like drone type shots, and even like shots where things are moving towards different subject matter and all that. Now, was that part of your vision, or was that something he brought to the table?
Ryan, so that was second unit work, and Ryan is a director in his own right. So Ryan, I'm feeling like this is the year for Ryan, man. He had a short film called We Got a Dog in Beyond Fest.
Nice.
It was also in Screamfest. He had another film called Song of the Pale in Screamfest. He had 3 films in Screamfest. And if that guy's not a hot little commodity, I don't know what is. So his schedule was a little squirrely with he was busy. He's booked up on the second unit stuff. So it was Jonathan and I with a drone operator going out to the desert to really capture and encapsulate the landscape and put you in what we felt. And I remember Ryan seeing that and just going, you did good, kid. You didn't let me down. Like, he was a part of, I would run everything by Ryan. I don't take a shit without asking Ryan for permission. You know what I mean? Because I trust him implicitly. I believe in, and sorry to anyone, I'm not going to get religious, but I believe in God because of Ryan Valdez. Because he doesn't know how he does it. When I ask him, how did you just do that? He goes, oh, just do it, you know, and like, he doesn't sound like that, but that's my interpretation of how he makes the difficult look easy.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So we are 25 minutes in. I think it's about time. We got to tell folks listening, what is set us up. What is this film about? We don't want to give away secrets, but if people are going to go see this film, rent this film, stream this film, what can they expect?
I'll let my scribe take that one, Johnny.
Oh man. Well, it's basically two couples, and they're planning a little vacation out. They rented a Airbnb out in the desert, like we've all done a million times, and they go out separately, different times of the day. And when the first couple arrives, somebody's already there, and that's kind of our one story. We follow that through, and then the second couple shows up, and their friends aren't around, and but this other couple is there mistakenly, and we follow that through, and some terrible things happen, and then the cops show up, and they basically investigating a big murder. We sort of have 4 storylines that we chop up, and we run them all forward, but we chop them up so that the story bounces around. And in the end, as you can tell by the title, 8 people are found dead. There's probably, I think there's 9 characters. So the question is, you know, who's the killer and who survives?
Nice.
That's
Now,
great.
as a horror podcast, you know, there's obviously some deaths in the film. You know, like, how did you kind of, I don't know how much you can share, but how did you try to set them apart, or how did you kind of like go about your writing process, Jonathan, kind of brainstorming like, oh, how do I make these unique? How do I make this kind of stand out, be that, you know, classic horror movie, but the kind of stuff you're into as well?
Well, you kind of had to work with, you know, there wasn't, it's not like an axe murderer or someone with one key weapon that's using it the whole time. It's all the all except for the axe.
Did you say
all
axe?
The, all the kills happen at the house, and the axe
No
is
one was
used,
killed by
yes.
axe.
But we also have the axe, we have strangulation, we have a kitchen knife, we have like sort of a personal pocket knife, which that happens that a couple times. Yeah,
Jonathan,
a lot of things.
I performed some killings with talent, I think.
Oh yeah, you killed it.
Oh,
Totally.
there's blunt force trauma. Here's the thing: we don't know if Patty survived. Like, not to give anything away.
That's true. We
Yeah.
used the statue of Mary, Mother Mary.
I came up with that one. I asked Jonathan if I could have Mother Mary. He goes, I got you. Jonathan's so giving with his process because he's so quick, he's so proficient, and becoming prolific with how fast he can churn out these scripts. He's really developed a voice in horror, I feel, and it's so exciting to see where he's going to go with his career as a writer in this genre, because we had this process. Sorry, that's my light. We did this at the coffee shop as the pandemic's going on. We're getting excited about, you know, as I said, you can write it, it's free. But what we had going for us, what we lacked in funds, we had going for us in creativity, and that was how we shuffled the timeline. We took a fairly simple, straightforward, you know, kids going out to a cabin in the woods, they get murdered, and we twisted it a little bit by, you know, like not telling you everything that you needed to know at once, kind of slowly doling out the information. And the process that we did in the parking lot of Priscilla's was called, John's aptly named it the Dog and Pony Show, where he would show up with 3x5 index cards. Each couple was color coordinated to their own storyline. And he'd go, and then this, and then that, and then this, and then that, and then this. And then he would let me, my background is I'm in reality TV, unscripted documentary, and soft scripted. I have a couple horror features under my belt, but I don't do a lot of scripted narrative work. But working in reality, I'm used to, you know, here's a pile of shit, make it pretty. And Jonathan is a beautiful, succinct writer, and so that was really easy to kind of shuffle the deck. So as he's showing me the dog and pony show, I'm able to tap into my nonlinear brain and go, what about this to there and this to there? And then that created this cool little transitional device that we call doors, windows, cupboards, and entrances and exits. Really, we wanted to come up with really interesting and diverse ways to introduce a storyline or a beat, and ways to get out of it, to continually tell a very fluid, cohesive narrative. The kills came secondary, and I think that this is more of a psychological thriller with a dash of some gore and salacious depravity. The next one, because we are, not to spoiler alert, we're working on the prequel sequel to this, is going to be 10 times the gore, 10 times the fucked upness, 10 times the comedy, and it probably won't do as well because that's called a suicide when you're running your cup down the line.
800 found dead.
Yeah.
Go all out. Yeah.
Hey, can we just workshop a couple titles? This is a question for Jim, Cheeseman, and Patty. What do you like better? 8 more dead, 8 found dead 2, 8 found dead again, 9, this time 9.
How about octuplets? 8 born.
Yeah.
8 born dead?
8 born. Octuplets.
I think just like a higher number, a higher body count, works well.
Something ridiculous, Cheeseman.
I mean, if you want to break Jason's record in a movie, you could just look at how many people has Jason killed in a movie. Okay, we'll do 201 dead.
Hey, real quick, let's just say hello to a couple of folks watching. Nathan, Rita, good to see you. Mike Dunn from Ohio. Hello, Mike. Also,
Dunn, what are you
Andy
doing up? It's past your bedtime.
Always good to see you, Andy. Hey, if you guys that are watching also have some suggestions for the name of the next movie, let us know here in the comments. We will be glad to pass them along. Also, if you have any questions for the filmmakers, or go ahead and ask. I do have to ask this question though. So you talk about it's a micro budget film. It's an indie film. You sold your house to finance this film. I gotta know. Gosh, that's a risk. What kind of are you a betting man? What's up with that?
No, it was everyone can attest to this. It was bleak. We didn't know. I didn't think that this was going to happen. So my wife, God love her, she plunked her portion of the sale on a condo like a smart person, and I said, Johnny, let's go do something stupid, and but it wasn't, because this is my 12th year directing and my first feature, and I've done 12 shorts before that. I try to churn out one every year, and people tell me, like, for about 8-9 years they've been saying, get into features, man. Like, you should be making a feature. Stop doing these 48-hour film festivals. Not to knock the 48-hour film festivals. They've helped me think on my feet, and my films have done pretty decently in that event. But it wasn't a gamble in the sense of, I hired the best writer. You'll get paid soon, Johnny. I promise. I hired the best VP. You'll get paid soon, Brian. I hired an amazing cast. If I can talk about the cast real quick.
Yeah, wait. Let me pull them up. We got them right here.
Oh,
I'll go down the line.
In order. Just kidding.
So I love this cast. This cast, they brought it. They met us with enthusiasm. They met our craft and care. They challenged John. John will talk about this, about like validity to the story. We didn't want to make another kind of just vapid and kind of aloof, not another teen horror movie, where it's stupid. The characters are making stupid decisions. Why would you go down? It was important to us to really make sure that the conundrums of the scenarios were some real life problems that people would feel socially awkward about. Like, everyone has this veil or this guy's like too nice, right? Like, I don't want to offend these weirdos that are in the house. Like, what? Like, they're in your house. So the cast came from I'm in an improv troupe, and about 4 of the cast members are from three of the cast members are from my improv troupe. Allie is not Eddie was an assistant editor friend of mine. She is everyone that you're showing. I don't do improv.
Go back to the main. Here's the main
I'll just
sheet.
go.
Here we
It's
go.
easier here.
Got to be one of the 10.
Okay, so
or
let's go down the
multiple of
line.
10.
Roseanne Lemaris, aka Liz, one of the best comedians, stand-up improvisers, singers I know. Laura Buckles and Tim Simic are two of the longest-standing members of Slow Children at Play, which is based out of North Hollywood. Yeah, it's a great name. It's an improv troupe. Tim is my director leader of that troupe, and he's married to Liz, so I knew that they had kismet right off the bat. And I thought it was, I didn't think that I didn't think we would ever finish it, but my cast did push me to finish sooner than I wanted, because, I finished edit in August, submitted a rough cut to Screamfest at the behest of my cast, saying, dude, it's spooky season. Like, let's get this. I was like, no, 2023. We'll get it out in 2023. But thank God they lit a fire under my butt. And I was able to, through John and Ryan, my father co-edited the picture. Our editor, the first editor on board, Neil, did a lot of really good legwork to really honor the script while introducing smart, kind of challenging questions to the logic and to the just the pace, the overall kind of, or not the pace, but the what happens when it happens. And I just had complete trust in this cast because they were all hungry to get back out there, get in the game. Patty is a wild man. He is just a ball of energy, but can just go from the most gregarious, energetic dude out there to just really quiet and contemplative and kind of cerebral at a moment's notice. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible to watch him do his thing and also share his love and appreciation of the art and craft of acting and storytelling. And Patty was just one of 9 people that brought that to this game. And once you have that, my job is easy. I just go Patty, take us, honor Jonathan, but take us where we need to go.
Yeah, Patty, talk to us about that a little bit. Talk to us about what was the experience like filming this film, the difficulties, the high points, and kind of how you did bring your renaissance. You're both a writer and an actor. Tell us about this experience.
Especially working with Travis and Jonathan here.
Jim and Luke, I can't say it enough. All I want to do at my age is be directed aggressively and have a writer and director tell me exactly what they want. And like I said before, parts of this storytelling process in 29 Palms were a bit malleable, but it was for the sake of the story. Jonathan and Travis's answer to me was always, let's go over here, pull me aside. What do you think is the most truthful thing we could say here right now in this moment? And that was a miracle, because a lot of writers are afraid of good actors. And I don't know where we got to this point as an industry.
I think you were like, I need to be eating cereal during this scene. That's what I think.
That wasn't my idea.
I think that was Travis's idea.
I like to give them stuff to do. So basically, here's some inside info.
Yeah, let's Brad Pitt on.
Well, Patty's character is inspired by my real life. I, at one time, during the pandemic, when we're working from Zoom, would drink on the job. It was inappropriate. I'm there to admit it. So Jonathan said, why don't we have our cop drinking on the job? It humanized him. It brought him down to, the drunk degenerates like myself to be like, I relate with that guy. That guy's maybe cool, but maybe inappropriate, and eating cereal. I just wanted to hear Patty just speak through, I think it was cornflakes or something. Just talk with your mouth full. It was Cheerios.
It was Cheerios. Yeah.
I love that scene.
Well, Patty, let's talk about anything that's hard, some hard stuff, some stuff that was a challenge. This isn't a big cushy film. What were some of the challenges you had to work through?
Number one, I run hot. My body is a big Minnesota snowy winter body. I run hot, so I like to be cool. Working in 29 Palms was hard. It was hot, really hot. My character smoked a lot of cigarettes. We did a scene where I had to smoke 29 palms. No, I mean, I gotta say, these guys already know this. I'm not versed in horror. I don't come into this process with Travis and Jonathan having a big resume of horror or a catalog of passion with horror. I'm ignorant. I'm like a really grateful new guy to the horror genre. But what Travis and Jonathan did was make it palatable for guys like me who only grew up on kitchen sink realism. I'm like, when he said, "Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf?" That's my bread and butter, is terrifying dialogue between real people with real problems who don't even realize that they're abusing each other. Like Jonathan and Travis, that was a lovely gift you gave kitchen sink realism people to appreciate a horror film. And once I realized that was a part of each scene, it was easy. I could have done 8 Found Dead in my sleep. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I meant they made it seamless.
I didn't have to, hey, Patty, I didn't have to. I'm not bullshitting here with, I didn't like first thought, best thought. I didn't have to like tell most of the cast like a little more, like a little, I didn't have to come up with clever creative adjectives. Everyone trusted the material and the team. And it was just, I've done a lot. I've been on shitty sets, and this was not a shitty set. I was the shittiest part of the set because I would panic if we're not gonna. I didn't think we were gonna make a day. I didn't think we were gonna make. We shot 63 pages in 9 days.
Woo!
And I was trying to make the whole 80-page film.
I was just saying it wasn't enough.
No, so I was shitting a brick, and I had one of our actors who was also the producer, and Jonathan, Laura Buckles, and Nate Upshaw. They would pull me aside and be like, it's okay, we're gonna make it, you're fine, who's a good boy, you're gonna be fine. But like, to answer your question from like 20 minutes ago, Jim, I was betting the house on this film.
Yeah,
and there's something
literally
when you make that, and this is for indie filmmakers, take a risk. I'm not saying sell your house or sell your belongings or do blood work or sell blood or anything, but like take a risk and believe in yourself and believe in the people that you surround around, that you put around yourself, and really pass. It's about passing the ball, and everyone was passing the ball so beautifully. And lastly, what I'll say about working with Patrick was part of that 4 hours wasn't me pitching him when I first met him at his chalet. It was not about me pitching him this film or us talking about cinema and stage, and it was us talking about life and connecting as brothers. And it was about us sharing a moment between two scared people in a scary pandemic and just having a nice, genuine, down-to-earth conversation and a connection. And he understood when he was playing. I don't know. I think you knew that you were playing me, right, Patrick?
Bobby is you?
I mean,
because you're going through the divorce, right.
Going through a divorce, drinking on the job, like. Thanks for bringing that up, Patty.
I actually haven't read the script.
I just gave him.
People die in this movie?
I just would send him my iPhone notes about my journaling every day, and he would just riff off that. Yeah, that was his.
What do you want me to do with this? What do you want me to do?
Yeah, you sent it to his Facebook. I'm surprised that he has. Yeah.
Patrick, what do you got in your hand, Patrick? What is that? Pull that back for those of you listening.
This is why he only plays cops.
Oh, nothing scarier than Jim. Nothing scarier than hiring an actor who you don't know, who's a big proponent in flip phones, and to be like, "Did you get the sides? Did you get the call time?" Yep. Like, I don't know. He's got a flip phone.
Yeah.
For those of you who are just listening and not watching, Patrick held up his brand new flip phone. He upgraded to the newest flip phone. Patrick, have you ever not had a flip phone?
I got a guy if you need one.
All right, we are kind of coming up to the end of our time here. I know, Cheeseman, You probably have a question or two before we head out.
Yeah, so as far as like how can people see this film? We heard there might be some distribution stuff. I don't know how much you can share, but like how, if people are wanting to check this out, like
Yeah.
how can they see it?
I'll let Jonathan take that one.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'm not sure what I can say or not say. Right now, it's not out yet, but we do have picked up distribution. We have picked up
Congratulations!
distributors that are out there in the world.
Wait, stop. For those of you who don't know, this is such a giant part of the filmmaking process. It's getting distributed. That's
especially
huge.
when you bet the house. Just say.
Yes.
Thank God. It was a brutal getting there. But yes, we did. We pick up distribution both U.S. and international, and I'm assuming, Travis, this summer, maybe.
I'll go there. So
Okay.
I'm very happy to tell you who we landed with.
Yeah.
After winning Screamfest, we got a slew of offers. We got about seven or eight, just like, hey, we loved it, we heard about it, let's talk. And all great, very nice people. My producer Nathaniel Upshaw, who I mentioned earlier, he hit the ground and said, let's reach out to some other folks and just see what people think of the screener. And I said, I really like this place called Dark Sky. They put out some cool shit, and I know their films, and some of their films are some of my favorite horror films: House of the Devil by Ty West, The Innkeepers, Frankenstein's Army, Starry Eyes. Dark Sky reached back to us a couple days after Nate reached out to them and said, we fucking love this. We get it. We understand it. It's a perfect fit. And I said, you're a perfect fit for us. And they just have been so kind and accommodating. I told my sales agent who took the film to Berlin, she's like, it's so fun to take your film around Berlin. And I said, it's your film too. It's like, you guys believed in us. We believe in you. Run with it. Like, do what you got to do, because my goal is to hopefully, garner a theatrical release in the later part of 2023. Not sure about that yet. I'm a first timer here, so I don't know how that works, but definitely, it will be streaming. I don't have any dates for anyone at the moment, but 8 Found Dead, you can find us on Instagram. We're working on a website. It'll be up soon. So that at the moment, just bear with us,
Sounds awesome. Anything else about the film that folks should know? And Luke, sorry, did I just step in? Did you have a question?
Go.
Look,
No,
I just want to know, give us your biggest marketing push. People who like what will like this film? Come on, let's market the hell out of this.
I think people who like a good whodunit while being disappointed that you find out everyone dies. Right up
In the
They just
title.
gave away the ending.
Spoiler. 10 cats.
Not everybody. Most
So
people.
I've said this. It's life. We all know we're gonna die in the end. Surprise! But how we get there?
80% chance of dying if you're in his movie.
Yeah.
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 Oh, you figured out the odds.
Yeah.
Anyone that likes a good roller coaster, it's a roller coaster. It's for those folks who like to think a little bit and like to be scared. It's definitely unnerving and unsettling and creepy. There's a social commentary there about ageism and about making it in Hollywood and the evolution of content. Anyone else want to pipe in, Patty or Jonathan?
I think the way the non-linear cutting is it's a unique take on that, and I think it really helps. It really makes it interesting. It really is a head scratcher at times. You'll see people die and then you'll see them alive again, and just figuring out how we mixed up the timeline is I think pretty fun, pretty original.
And can I just stop for a second?
Travis?
Sorry.
For me, the tenet in the script and the story where a Gen Zer obsessed with social media as a vehicle for vocation and the ridiculousness of that concept, where they may or may not end up bloodied and dead. It's lovely to hand that to the kids these days. Careful, don't be obsessed with Instagram. You might end up chopped up in the desert.
8
kinda like
Instagram followers dead.
I
There's
do
the
have to
title.
ask a question. Besides Patrick, of course, this lady really had a great character and really stood. Can you tell us about this actress?
I love Nancy Linehan Charles with all my heart. All my heart. I just saw her for lunch today, and being in her presence is just, I had the greatest lunch I've ever had today because she's so giving with her time and knowledge and talents, and she's been through it all. I've wanted to work with Nancy for about 11 years. I discovered her through a short film called Piano Fingers, and she has it. She has the look, she has grace, gravitas, but also she has life. You can see that she's lived a life, and she's just a stunning actress. And I mean, she has a nice, kind of resume, having worked on Charlie Wilson's War, Minority Report, opposite Max von Sydow. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And she's regular on Young Sheldon, but she threw us a bone and came in to just do a day on the film as kind of our harbinger. And John and I had worked with her. I'd wanted to work with her for a decade, and I had stuff for her. Nothing ever really worked out. She would ghost me. I wouldn't hear back from her. But when the pandemic hit, she answered my call. John is a singer-songwriter for an outfit called Campfire Cassettes, and it's Fucked Up Folk, a little plug there. And John and I, before we got into this feature idea, we were like, well, let's just make kind of short stay-at-home music videos for Campfire Cassettes so that you guys can still stay on the front of people's minds. And we were thinking about fun narratives, and kind of, John likes to always go, it's about this. Nope, it's about this. And I reached out, I cold called Nancy to be like, I know you're not working. She's booked all the time. I said, I know you're not working, and we've got a stay at home idea. You want to rock and roll? And she said, I'm game. Let's do it. And, so then we were able to, I was like, I can't believe it took a pandemic for me to work with someone of her caliber on just a shitty shot on an iPhone. She was doing it herself. My first time directing her was remotely over Zoom and stuff, and she got so frustrated. She's like, just come over to my apartment and let's just shoot it yourself. So I'm holding the iPhone or showing her how to hold the iPhone. I'm socially distanced with a mask. And I had a lot of fun with her, and I was intimidated by her because of how, her career and the productions that she's been in, but she's just so sweet and nice and lovely, and understands that not everyone knows everything. So she wasn't, when I didn't have an answer, she wasn't like, oh, this guy doesn't know anything. Like, we were collaborating. She had told me a fun story about Steven Spielberg on the set of Minority Report, where it's this dinner scene, and Nancy had studied the script, and Steven missed a moment in the blocking. And Steven's known for his masterful blocking. He had missed something in the script that Nancy had to, she's like, do I tell Steven Spielberg, the master director, the master blocker, that like, actually you forgot this beat and I have an idea of what I can do with it? And she said Steven was the sweetest, kindest, open to her interpretation of the scene. And that was really reassuring to hear what, her experience in the industry, and to hear it from those who have come before us, that like, people are people, and even the greatest director in the world might not know it all the time.
Guys, it's fantastic. Listen, I have one last question, and Luke's going to finish with our final question of the night before we go. But first, for Jonathan and Patrick. Jonathan first, Patrick. I want to hear, guys, how can we hear your music?
The band's called Campfire Cassettes. We have Facebook pages and Bandcamp and YouTube pages and all that shit. Just look up Campfire Cassettes and you'll find something. Travis did a great music video for Daddy's Gun, probably our best song. Daddy's Gun, look that video up. It's awesome.
Patrick Joseph Rieger.
Whiskey_Sunday on Instagram, Whiskey Sunday Band on Facebook. And Jonathan, we got to get our bands together and do some folked up folk music.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think that's a really good idea. The hardest working Irish Americana band in LA. We'll see you on St. Paddy's Day.
Woo.
Can confirm.
All right, Cheeseman.
Well, my final question, being in front of Patty, we didn't talk much about his little co-star he was with, his little fellow cop thing. Can you tell us about working with the Blake character, Laura Buckles?
God, she made everything easier. I'm a big time theater guy throughout the Twin Cities and Los Angeles, and Laura is such a student of film. I just loved being with her when the cameras were off, because she kept saying, "Hey Patrick, you need to know this stuff. Now they're going to do it from this angle. They're going to do it from this angle. They're going to do it from this angle. So let's do it this way. Let's do it this way." And I loved it. Actors have this unspoken code or spoken code where you're not supposed to direct each other or help each other out, but that's kind of baloney a lot when I'm wanting to learn more about this process. Laura Buckles was so generous and also translating a lot of stuff. Travis and Jonathan were just going, expecting us all to know. And I said, "Laura, what the hell are we doing now?" And she,
You could put it on me, Patty. You could put it on me. That was my alcoholism.
We're both big babies, Travis, and Laura was like the coolest babysitter. Ugh.
She was awesome.
So you're telling me that if you had to do a murder investigation, you'd probably want her at your side, Patrick.
Oh my God, she was the actor equivalent to ballast. Ballast is what we all need on a set, both creatively and spiritually. And Laura is pure ballast.
All right. So the name of the movie, 8 Found Dead. Travis, we do have to end with you. Last 2 questions. First, where can people find out what you are up to? Anything about the film? How can they follow you online?
I'm on Instagram quite frequently at the Travis Greene. TheTravisGreene is my surname.
Awesome. I'm going to ask the same thing for Jonathan and Patrick, and then last question for Patrick. Jonathan, where can people find out what you're working on these days?
I'm at Choking on Media on Instagram, and then there's an 8 Found Dead Instagram page too that will update when we get more news that we're allowed to talk about.
Fantastic. Patrick
J. Rieger on Instagram. I'm so new to Instagram. This doesn't help me at all.
He's the only person to use a browser for Instagram.
I post everything on this laptop, and then we Sunday band.
Selfies. How blurry are your selfies?
That's for good reason.
And Travis,
BlackBerry
you're
take better
sitting,
photos.
Travis, last question. You're sitting in the drive-thru at where?
Panda Express. Can I get you
What?
anything?
No,
Yes.
Travis, I'm worried because you said you sold your house for this movie, and now you're doing an interview from your car. I'm a little worried.
Just because you get distribution doesn't mean you get money.
Come stay
living
at
in
my
my car.
place.
If anyone wants to fund my lifestyle or buy me a coffee, that would be great. I'm gonna
There's
be
always the roost.
in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
Hey guys, be following these guys online. Find out more about 8 Found Dead. You're going to want to see the film. It was the winner of Best Feature and Best Director at LA Screamfest. Can't wait for it to get out there. My name is James D. Fry on Instagram. You can find me at thescareguy.com and theconguy.com. Cheeseman, take us out.
Well, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at CheeseOnCouch and also on thescareguy.com. So check out 8 Found Dead. If they want to do a sequel, I know we're talking about names. I mean, there could be 8 doors, and Patrick, who has a bad scare reflex, you could just have 8 different doors of things jump out and terrify him. That could be a movie on its own if you're looking for a sequel. But share your ideas. Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for coming on, everybody. And
thanks, guys.
Travis, Patrick, and Jonathan, thank you for joining us today on the Scare Guy Show. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.